Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Katie and I'm a nerdy flute player, meaning I do covers of video game, anime, TV, film, music. If that sounds interesting, I will leave a link above to all of my cover song music videos where you can check that out. You can also find all of my music on the streaming services, and links will be in the description below for that. I'm also a Twitch streamer. I stream over on twitch.tv/Katie Shesko. I also live broadcast it to YouTube as well, but that is when I do gaming such as Breath of the Wild, Nier, and board games. Please follow me on all of my social media. Links will be in the description below where you can come interact with me and find out what I'm up to. For today's video, I will be reacting and analyzing Dimash's Ocean Over Time. This was suggested to me because this was in a video game, so what better than Dimash and video games, two things that I enjoy. Now, I will watch the video in full and I will give some initial thoughts while the video is playing, and then after that I will do a detailed analysis where I will pause a lot. So if that is not the kind of reaction that you're interested in, I completely understand. Like I said, first we do a full watch through where I just give initial thoughts as the video is playing. So let's dive into that. Alright, so this is an actual music video, it looks like, as opposed to live performances that I've seen so far. Love this register. Oh yes, it has gameplay footage! Yay! Yeah, this is a beautiful register for him. I love it when he sings this in this register. So delicate, so delicate. I love it. And I love like these moving stills of the gameplay. That is such a beautiful effect. Oh, I'm assuming that this is him playing the piano. I'm interested to know what that instrument is. Some really interesting chord changes as well. Oh, those leaps, gorgeous. Well done. And I am enjoying the gameplay footage. It looks like a beautiful game. I love a good key change. Love when things are layered like that too. Very delicate again. Love it. So absolutely gorgeous. I do think that Dimash was a good choice for this vocal performance because of his range, and they definitely utilized all of his range, which was great. You know, you had him in some strong points, and then you had him in his higher register, and it worked really well with the rest of the musical selection. I do like how they incorporated him into it. It wasn't just back and forth of gameplay and Dimash. He was actually incorporated into the video, and I really liked that. And he played with the elements from the game. Loved it. So let's go back and let's do a little bit more detailed analysis. So because I watched the video in full, my videos do tend to get copyright claimed. So if you enjoy the fact that I do a full watch through before I do my analysis, please consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/KatieShesko to help me be able to continue to make this kind of content. So after some quick research, I realized that Oceans Over the Time is the theme song for a game called Moonlight Blade. And it looks like it's a free-to-play mobile game, which is really cool. I don't play a whole lot of mobile games. That does kind of explain some of the like action stills. You see that a lot in mobile games when they're doing their promotions. So that's really cool. So yeah, this is a game that you can go play for free on your phone. That's awesome. No, I am not sponsored, but I do love me some video game music. That's a little bit about the game. And it's really cool that a mobile game that I've never heard of before got such a big name singer. I love when that happens because it definitely brings more awareness and a little bit more publicity to something that might not have gotten as much. But getting a big name singer involved is a sure way to get more eyes on your content. And even though he's not performing live and it's a video, he still has amazing stage presence. Even though it's a video, his presence just in the video frame is very stunning. And I really like this very dark background, just the slight spotlight. And it's not like drowning him. It's enveloping him in some shadows. And I really like that effect. It's a gorgeous effect for a video. And even right off the bat, again, all of the videos that I've seen so far, he has a very delicate entrance. And I think it's the musical choices that he's made that has lent very well to a delicate entrance with, you know, a more full middle. It's not like a high performance from the get-go. It's always been very delicate, a nice full middle, and then delicate at the end. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I do that a lot with my own music. It's a really cool effect, especially for something like a video game, which again is probably why you hear it a lot in my own music because I cover video games mostly. Gorgeous effect. I also like that even at the beginning, you have some interesting key changes, you have some interesting chord changes and note progression that you normally don't hear within the first handful, you know, within the first 10, 15, 20 seconds of a song. So already I'm like, the music draws you in because, you know, so much of popular music, so much of commercial music is very predictable. If you watch Rick Beato, he did a video on the most popular songs from TikTok, or the top 10 songs, something like that. And most of them were from TikTok. And most of the songs were the same 4 chords over and over and over. It's very predictable. And there's nothing wrong with that. It makes for a fun, catchy beat. You know, the listener is you know, the average listener is just, as long as they dig the beat and they dig the chord changes, it's a good song. But I really like music that kind of goes outside of that. I listen to a lot of music. I've studied a lot of music. I analyze a lot of music. And when I do my arrangements and my covers, I'm listening to the same song over and over, and I really try to get the nuance of that song. So songs that have interesting chord progression, songs that have like unexpected notes, it's just really interesting to me. So I really like that. First off the bat, you're going in and you kind of have some interesting chords that you wouldn't normally expect right off the bat. So yeah, I really like how they have a lot of these still images that are moving. It's a really cool effect. And now that I've seen the video, like how some of the imagery we see at the beginning of like these two characters and the bird and the changing seasons and the changing weather, and you know, it's like kind of foreshadowing kind of what's going to be coming up throughout the rest of the video, and I really like that. But like I like these kind of still images with the moving backgrounds. It's a really cool effect. So right here, he's been very delicate this entire time, and even when he goes to the higher note, it's still very delicate and still very, like, it's still very well done. And right here, and I've heard enough Dimash to know that like even when he sings in those higher registers, he usually has a very full sound with his voice, but here it's a little bit breathy, and I'm sure it's on purpose. It really gives it that whisper quality, because when you whisper, it's very breathy. Because we've talked about in other videos how hard it is to like have a higher pitch that's very soft. But here it's very intentional with the somewhat breathy quality to it, because it really does mimic a whisper. It does really mimic like a wind, like a gentle wind blowing. And a lot of what's in the movement in these stills is like wind blowing through their outfits. So it's very intentional, and it's done so well. It's one of those techniques that you think would be easy, but it's actually really hard to execute effectively. So like even here, some of it was a little bit more strong, and then the end was a little bit more breathy and tapered. And it's those effects of like really strong and then breathy and tapered that lets you know that yes, this is intentional. But it gives it a beautiful effect of, you know, that push and pull, that I'm pushing and now I'm pulling back. I'm pushing forward a little bit, I'm getting a little bit stronger, and then I pull it back and get a little bit more tapered. And then right here, I love a good like violin taper hold. It's so good. It's so effective. We talk frequently about the space between the notes that make the music. And this is, again, another effective use of space between the notes, where most everything is dropped out and you just kind of have this violin reverb. It's there. It's not 100% silent, but you have this nice violin reverb, because they're done playing. It's just the natural reverb of either the space or what they've added to the effect. It gives you that before we go into the next part. And I love it. I love when songs do it. It's a risk, but I love when they do it. It's so good. And again, I'm assuming that this is Dimash playing, at least that's what's implied, and I'm sure it is. Love it. I love a musician that is multidimensional. I unfortunately can only play flute and piccolo. I could play saxophone, but I don't own a saxophone, so I don't play it. I haven't played saxophone since high school, which we're not going to talk about how long ago high school was for me. I don't want to reveal my age. Musicians, I never got the chance to learn piano, and at this point, I just don't have the time to devote to fully practicing and learning. I barely get to practice my flute as it is, but piano was something I always wish I learned, so it's something I encourage to make sure that my kids learn piano, because it's such a valuable skill. So yay for Dimash singing and playing the piano. I don't know if he did the piano for the recording. That'd be interesting to find out. That would be really cool. I would appreciate that. Yeah. If you happen to know if he actually did the piano recording as well, please leave a comment below for sure, because love it. And here, I love how in this point of the song, we're starting to add new instruments. Before, it was very simplistic. It was very very light at the beginning. That's not quite the right word I'm looking for, but it is very minimal at the beginning. And now we're starting to build, and we're starting to add new instruments, and we're adding some very different instruments and not ones that you typically hear. This sounds like possibly an English horn. I'm not 100% sure, given that this is not a fully Western song and not a fully Western produced. Yeah, considering that this game looks like it's only available in Asia and China, obviously, I doubt that they used only Western instruments. So this is probably an instrument that I'm not familiar with. But I love this sound. It's a very interesting sound. It has such a gorgeous color. It's not like a... It's a very interesting colored sound. And I love it. It works so well for this part of the song. And again, the colors and this still, and how I really like how they have the flowers have a lot of detail at the front, and then as you get further back, there's this hazy quality. It gives it a very dreamlike quality. This looks like a gorgeous game to play, especially on the phone. I don't think I'd probably be able, like I said, it looks like it's only available in Asia, and I could be wrong. I have not look it up. It looks like a gorgeous game to play because I'm loving the colors. And the very dreamy effect with, again, the still with the moving background. So here again, we have the bird coming in. So we have the bird coming in, and even through this song, it's telling a story of it looks like these two characters were in a relationship or had some type of relationship, and now one is gone and the other one's going to go on a quest to find them. That's the sense that I get from the video. I mean, that's a tale as old as time. You go after your lost loved one, whether that's your partner, a family member, just a really good friend. That's a tale that we see all the time, and it makes for great storytelling because it's so relatable. We all have that relation to knowing that we would go to the ends of the earth for someone else. So even here, even though the music picked up and we are now what seems to be the chorus, he's now in the higher register, he still kind of has this very breathy quality to it, which is a really interesting juxtaposition. You expect it to have a much more, you expect his voice to be much fuller, to be much louder, to be much more prominent, but we still kind of have this breathy quality. And I wonder if it's because, now we're starting that journey. We don't have our other half with us and we need to go find them. It's still we're still not full. We're not full because we don't have our other half with us. So I like how that, you expect a nice full sound, but he's still got this whispery, breathy quality to it, and it works really well for what the story is trying to tell you. And I really like that because it's unexpected. Music that has a surprise quality to it or has a surprise element is just, I love that kind of stuff. So again, we have this bird flying through the time, and I really like that. It's a really nice visual, and it's showing you that it's traveling a lot. So yeah, this whole sequence, even though Dimash isn't really singing, he's just kind of adding the oohs and ahs for effect, which well done, because having that sound good and blend in really well is difficult. But the bird is moving through time, through, regions, countries, however this particular world is set up. I really like that effect. It's the still, and it's showing you the time, the space that you are moving through. And I really like that. It's, again, excellent editing for the video, and it really tells the story of what is involved in this game. And I really like that. So right here, I love a good key change. Again, another thing that you hear a lot in music. It's so well done. I like a good key change. It's challenging. It can be very challenging to go from one key to another. I can think of specifically an Engage the Enemy, which I released a music video for it last week as of the recording of this video. It has a key change in it, but the song starts out in B major, which has 5 sharps, which is very tricky for this band girl. I didn't really play in orchestras. Orchestra was not available to me in my high school, so I played mostly with band. So we tend to play in a lot of keys that are flat, and orchestra tends to play in a lot of sharps. So, playing with 5 sharps is a little tricky for this band girl. And then at the end, the key change goes to C major, which is no flats or sharps, which in theory is an easy key, but when you go from something that has 5 sharps to no sharps, it can be tricky in your brain. It can be very tricky to get that smooth because you've played most of the song, you sung most of the song in one key, and then it switches, and it can be tricky, at least for me as an instrumentalist, to remember that, oh yeah, G is not sharped anymore, or A is not sharped anymore. It's all natural. So that takes it can take some practice to do that quick of a mind shift when you're in the middle of a song. So right here, I love the use of French horn. At least it sounds like a French horn to me. I love it. I always say if I was a brass player, I'd want to play French horn. I love the way a French horn sounds. It has such it's a very powerful horn sound, but it's not blaring like a trumpet. Sorry, Mike. I'm sorry. I love you. Trumpets are awesome. Okay, now that we got that obligatory, my husband is a trumpet player. So now that we got that obligatory out of the way, I love French horns. So there's power, but it's not overpowering, I really love the timbre that a French horn has. So when you have these very powerful moments and you have a French horn in the background, I love it. I love it. I love it. So great use of a French horn here. And then here, they're probably just Dimash, whatever you want to do, have at it. Do some of your, do some of your ornaments, because he does them so well. And I like that it's, only in this part of the song where there's a battle scene going on. This is a very pivotal moment in this video. It's a very high energy, high paced, important scene. There's a battle going on. This is where the fight begins, because it's a video game. Of course there's going to be some degree of fighting, unless you're playing something like Animal Crossing where you're just building a village and having fun. There's really no fighting. But for most action oriented video games, there's going to be some battle, some fighting of some sort. So here, I like how they didn't use the ornamentation anywhere else. They only used it in this part where there is a lot going on, which if you're in the middle of a naval battle, as seen on the video, there's a lot going on. Makes sense. So I you have the song still going, but then you have Dimash with his ornamentation, just really adds to that kind of chaotic nature of what I would imagine would be in the middle of a naval battle where you have cannon and cannonballs coming after you on a very susceptible ship. This isn't the modern day warships that we see today. These were wood with sails, and you lost your sail, you were kind of stuck. So I can imagine how scary and chaotic and frightening it would have been to be on one of these ships. So yeah, all of this, the layering, this is the only time where we hear Dimash layer over himself. And then we have the ornamentation. There's a lot going on in these handful of moments, and it just really adds to the effect of the video and of the song and of what the gameplay might be like. And it's beautifully done. It really gets the point across. As a casual listener, someone who's watching this, it really gets the point across. And that's what music and what putting music to video does. And so well done. I like how they incorporated Dimash into it. You went from the video, the game, to coming like through his eye, and then you see him right as it goes silent and it fades to black. I love this. It's a great use of incorporating your main artist into the video game and into the video without it feeling forced. It's very organic in how it incorporates together, which can be really hard to do when you have an artist with a game. Typically, you either have all gameplay or you just kind of have a music video with the artist. The fact that they like seamlessly kind of, you know, had both Dimash and gameplay in a way that didn't feel forced or like we have to put Dimash in or we have to have gameplay. They were able to incorporate it both together very well, and I really liked it. And again, even in this section, we had some interesting note changes, some interesting chord changes that I wasn't expecting. You were kind of expecting it to just kind of keep going on that particular chord progression, but then Dimash like hit some interesting notes, and it gives a lot of interest. Yeah, I really like that. It gives some interest to a song that you weren't expecting it. You know, like I said, commercial music tends to be very predictable. Not that that makes it bad, but it tends to be predictable. So me as a musician, when I hear some of these interesting chord changes, things that I've heard in my classical training and in my, you know, flute repertoire, and things that I've come to appreciate about what made some of the, you know, classical composers revolutionary for their times, is something that I come to appreciate now that I don't always hear in commercial music, and what I tried sometimes to do in my own music. Loved it. I loved it. I love when you kind of have those different notes. So again, we went black, and now we just have some light strings in the background just to support Dimash, just to give you a little bit of background noise, as we've now gone from the world of the game to our world with Dimash. And again, very delicate at the end, and I love it. There's my French horn. French horn, great. So now we, you know, even though we're tapering off, we're still adding more instruments. We've tapered off to practically nothing, and now we're still adding more instruments. We're still adding some background stuff, which again is not expected. Usually when you drop like that and you have that end, you're tapering off, and then you're going to end it as a taper. But no, it's like, we're going to taper off, but no, we're not quite done yet. We still got some more to add. Again, very breathy. So here, again, we even heard in the song when he was singing in this register, it didn't sound breathy. Here, it's very intentional. Here we have like the two people that we saw at the beginning that were separated throughout the video. Now, like, they're face to face again. So we have like this breathy, whispery quality of it, and it really adds to the effect. It's well done. It doesn't sound forced. It doesn't sound bad. It's very intentional, and it's very well done and very difficult to do, especially because you as a performer are usually trying to have the best tone that you possibly can when you're playing a note. So you spend a lot of time having a nice full tone at a very soft volume. And sometimes that is all you will spend your practice time on. Hello, I'm looking at you at some of my flute repertoire music where I've spent time just playing that one last note very, very softly. You know, like that high G, very, very softly at the very end with still having a beautiful tone. But here, it's breathy, which you would think, oh yeah, that would be easier, because here, Katie, you're just telling me that having a nice full tone while playing soft and high is difficult. So if you have to play it breathy, it's probably easier. No. To do it breathy and make it sound good and intentional, Very difficult to do. Very difficult to do to make it sound good. It's very difficult to do to sound good and to have that as a color, as a part of the song, as like, this is the emotion I'm trying to invoke by singing it this way. Very difficult to do. And again, now we've tapered to nothing. And again, here you were kind of expecting it to just like end at that point, but the fact that, like, you know, he kind of dropped out, the instruments picked up a little bit, and then he had his final note just to play it out to the end. Well done. There was a lot of, like, that was unexpected, and I like that. And again, to allow Dimash just to be Dimash and just end very delicately and beautifully. So yeah, I really enjoyed this video. It was fantastic. I enjoyed the song a lot as well. It had a lot of unexpected elements to it, and that made it interesting. I love when songs kind of have those unexpected qualities where things pick up and you don't expect them. There's like a solo instrument that you didn't hear, and it's only in that one specific spot. Loved it. You know, it tapered off and you were expecting it to end, but no, it picked back up and did a little bit more. There were some interesting chord changes. It was just overall a really well arranged and orchestrated song, and composed song, I guess I should say. So well done. And I really like how they let, you know, they probably had a specific vision for Dimash, but I would imagine that they allowed him to add some of his own elements to do what he does best with some of, you know, his ranges and some of his ornamentations that just work so well for stuff like this. Well done. Loved it. Thank you so much for walking. We're not walking. Unless you're walking while watching this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If this was interesting to you and you have a suggestion for something else that you would like me to react and analyze, please leave a comment below. I write down all of your suggestions and I will do my best to get to it. If this kind of content interests you, please consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/KatieShesko. Your support allows me to continue to make content like this for you to enjoy, because I am not monetized on YouTube. So yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things. All of my information, again, will be in the description box below, where you can find my covers, where I'm streaming, as well as my sheet music and merch. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.